selling is orderly. Aaron?
Rhonda, thank you very much. The Secretary of the Treasury, Paul O'Neill, coming up in just a moment. CNN's continuing coverage of America's new war after a short break.
For the latest developments as events unfold in America's new war, stay with CNN.
Medicare medication coverage. Are you having difficulty using inhalers or mixing your breathing medications? Do you use Proventil or Albuterol, Atrovent, Combivent, or other breathing medications? Did you know that if you qualify, Medicare covers breathing medications that are already premixed? To find out if you qualify, call us at Med4Home.
Call toll-free 1-800-403-3609.
Are you one of the millions of American males who would like increased sexual energy? If you've been considering Viagra as a solution, consider something different. All-natural Enerx. Clinical studies show various ingredients of Enerx enhance sexual energy, increasing desire, performance, and satisfaction. Enerx is all natural with no side effects. With Enerx, you'll feel the increased energy within minutes and with no chemicals. We're so sure you and your mate will be completely satisfied. We'll offer you a 30-day, no questions asked, full refund. Enerx stimulates sexual energy by expanding the blood vessels, causing increased blood flow to specific areas of the body. Unleash the power of Enerx now.
Call 1-800-367-3614 toll-free, and it will be delivered discreetly to your home. Get results using the safe, all-natural alternative, Enerx.
Is your child protected for the future? For years, Gerber has been telling you about the Grow Up Plan. It's a $5,000 cash value life insurance policy that costs less than $1 per week. At age 21, the protection doubles to $10,000 with no increase in premiums. Call now for your free information package. The Gerber Life Grow Up Plan, a solid investment in your child's future. Call now.
Call this toll-free number for free information about Gerber's Grow Up Plan. Call now.
This is CNN.
On this Monday in New York, we keep a close eye on the stock markets. They've come off their lows of the day. The Dow is down about 675, give or take. So just in the last 15 or 20 minutes, it's bounced up a bit from that. The NASDAQ, too, has come back a little bit more. Back to the trading floor, Christine Romans is at the New York Stock Exchange. Christine? Okay. All right, we're having some audio problems with Christine. She's taking a look at the sectors that were in the most trouble, and first among them, the airline sector. No one is surprised by this. Airlines obviously are being hammered today. Insurance companies not doing well. We noted Disney stock. Disney also is affected by the general economy, but also by people's willingness to get on airplanes and go to theme parks. Disney was having a tough day. It has not been since December 31st, 1998, that the Dow Industrials have been below 9,000. They are now, as the market down, the Dow down 642 points, and does seem to be moving off the lows. Lou Dobbs joins us now. He has Secretary of the Treasury Paul O'Neill with him, and I imagine the Secretary has his eye on the market as closely as anyone. Lou?
Exactly right, Aaron. Thank you. Treasury Secretary O'Neill, one of many who gathered to ring the opening bell at the New York Stock Exchange this morning, working hard through his department and other agencies and, of course, Wall Street to ensure an orderly open and orderly day. Mr. Secretary, thanks for being with us.
Glad to be here.
We have a significant sell-off. We have some volatility. What is your thought right now?
I'm very pleased the markets are open again. It's a beginning and end note for the U.S. economy that we have, in effect, a world financial switching center where buyers and sellers come together and make markets, and not having them for 4 days is really very unusual, not since the First World War. It's nice to have the markets back in business.
These markets been closed, as you say, for 4 sessions. It has been a very long time indeed since that has happened. With that pent-up frustration on the part of buyers and sellers, this is not an entirely unexpected result in at least the early going today.
Well, I think that's right. You have to always remember when you're looking at markets, for every seller there's a buyer, and for every buyer there's a seller. My guess is when we look a year down the road, the people who bought today are going to be the happy people. The people who sold will be sorry they did it.
Well, this morning when you and I talked earlier, you said you felt that we would see new records in this market. I guess the question to follow up with here a couple of hours later is how soon?
Well, I don't know. I think it's conceivable we could be approaching the tops on the Dow side in another 12 or 18 months. Well, no one knows for certain, but I think we've not retreated so far on the Dow side that we couldn't be looking at the records again when we get into the middle of the next expansion phase in our economy.
The expansion phase of the economy, a lot of mixed views, obviously, in terms of where this economy is headed. The strength of this economy obviously ebbing going into the last month. We started to see some weakness in terms of the consumer that we had not seen. Is it your judgment that this economy is stronger than some would have it?
Well, you know, I think those who saw weakness weren't paying any attention to the positive factors that continue to exist in our economy. And the last few months, I thought the positives outweighed the negatives, not by a lot, but by an amount, and that with the flow of funds that was going into the economy a week ago today, I would have said then, and I will say now, I think we're on the move back. We have a resilient economy. You know, the crops are still growing in the fields, and the people are still showing up in the factories, and the shopkeepers are out there. Even here in Midtown New York, you can begin to feel a quickening pace again. We'll get our act together. We're going to be okay.
No recession?
I don't think so.
And in terms of the event that precipitated all of this, the devastating terrorist attack on the World Trade Center and the Pentagon, all of that, whether one looks at it geopolitically in terms of terrorism, howsoever, fundamentally there are economic and financial underpinnings. All that happened required money, planning, sophisticated maneuvers of money. Has your department and other agencies as well, have you found any links, any indications as you go from bank to financial institution around the world looking for the money of Osama bin Laden and other countries or organizations?
Well, you know, I think for some time we in the United States have lived in our minds in a world that was free from terrorists and the murders, and it turns out we were too soft in our understanding of what could possibly happen to us. And what you're going to see now is an all-out attack on, first of all, labeling terrorists and suspected terrorists, and then systematically going after their financial assets, not just waging a usual kind of war against these kind of people, but waging a financial war and enlisting the leaders of civilized world countries and their financial institutions in helping us identify who these people are and where their money is and taking it away from them.
Mr. Secretary, let me put it straightforwardly. There are countries and banking systems within those countries that have said they are either neutral or not to be in any way complicit in an investigation by the United States or any number of other countries. The President has said you are, in effect, either with us or against us. Does that apply to international banking?
Absolutely. Absolutely. The civilized world needs to band together. We need to use all the tools that are at our disposal to get these people, and we intend to do that.
Mr. Secretary, we thank you for being with us on this opening day of the New York Stock Exchange and return to what we hope is normalcy in U.S. markets and markets around the world.
Thanks for having me.
Secretary Paul O'Neill. Well, Aaron Brown, back to you on this day in which we have seen the Dow retreat from a bit from its lows, and we still have a ways to go, about 2 hours, to see what truly happens here in the waning hours of trading today.
Lou, thank you. It's a lot of red out there, a lot of red numbers. We saw Philip Morris, though, was up a fraction, so I guess in good times or bad, people keep smoking, and maybe they keep smoking a little more in bad times. But not much good news out of Wall Street. Our senior White House correspondent, John King, joins us now. President, some very pointed words today. Other events at the White House. John, good afternoon.
Good afternoon to you, Aaron. The Treasury Secretary just again echoing. It's remarkable, the very muscular, if you will, for lack of a better term, language from people throughout the administration, from the President on down. The Treasury Secretary just there telling Lou Dobbs, even in matters of international finance, the administration adopting an us or them strategy here, with us or against us. We know the President has been making that case directly in diplomatic phone calls around the world, Secretary of State Powell as well. And a bit earlier today, President Bush over at the Pentagon, meeting there to discuss the call-up of 35,000 or so reservists. You see him here with the Defense Secretary Donald Rumsfeld, his National Security Advisor Condoleezza Rice, other Pentagon officials. This for a briefing on just how the Pentagon will use the National Guard members and the reservists who are called up. But when the President was asked about the prime suspect, Osama bin Laden, Mr. Bush using very, very tough language here. Again, the administration has said it is planning a possible military campaign. Listen to the tough words of the President of the United States.
Osama bin Laden is just one person. He is representative of networks of people who absolutely have made their cause to defeat the freedoms that we understand, and we will not allow him to do so.
Mr. Do you want bin Laden dead?
I want him held. I want justice. And there's an old poster out west, as I recall, that said "Wanted, dead or alive."
Now, Mr. Bush emerging from that meeting to shake hands, as you see here, walking down the corridors of the Pentagon, shaking hands with members of the armed services. A poignant moment off camera, Aaron. The President, after shaking these hands, walked into a cafeteria. Among the people he greeted there was a pregnant woman whose husband is among those killed in the attack on the Pentagon. As the President was in meeting with families at the Pentagon, one person in the room quietly began singing "God Bless America." Others in the room picked up on that song. The President himself, who was preparing to leave the room, stopped and stayed and joined in the singing of "God Bless America." The President now back at the White House, about to leave the White House to visit a mosque here in the Washington area. That's another part of the President's duties these days. At the White House, they say they are increasingly concerned with a backlash in American public opinion against Arab Americans. Mr. Bush to visit an Islamic center in the Washington area to urge the American people, as they hear all the news about the suspects being of Middle Eastern and Arabic, perhaps Muslim origin, not to take that out on Arab Americans living here in the United States. Aaron?
John, the President sounded very much like the Texan that he is at one point when he said that bin Laden wanted dead or alive. Just the tone of that was striking, wasn't it?
The tone is striking, and some people are raising alarms about this. The rhetoric has increased. The tone of it has escalated in recent days. Domestically, some political advisors to this White House, outside advisors, saying the President is setting the bar pretty high here, that the administration has now made clear that it will get, to use the words of Mr. Bush and others, Osama bin Laden, a task that proved the Clinton administration tried to do and was very unsuccessful. And remember, this comes at a time the President trying to build an international coalition that includes many moderate Arab states, Saudi Arabia and Egypt among them, Pakistan included in the groups, countries that have radical Islamic fundamentalist problems, if you will, domestic problems of their own. Many ambassadors from those countries concerned that such language, bin Laden is a popular figure among certain populations in those countries. Many of their ambassadors here in the United States telling the White House such strong language, wanted dead or alive, is not helpful to them at all. Aaron?
Just one other thing, John. This administration, very disciplined administration. The President, when he talks to reporters, very disciplined. Just in watching him today, I had the sense that he was improvising a little bit more than he often does. And let me just, did you have any sense of that, or was it just one of those things in my head?
Well, certainly the President is speaking off the cuff much more often. No notes there, but administration officials say they believe that's when the president is at his best. Look back at the criticism of the president or the analysis of the president over the past 6 days. Many critical of that Oval Office address on the night of the attacks, highly complimentary of the unscripted president throwing his arms up around the firefighter in New York, talking into a bullhorn. The president speaking off the cuff is what this administration believes is his best venue. Many here, though, privately taken aback by the frontier justice, if you will, of the President of the United States saying wanted, dead or alive.
He is a Texan. John, thanks. John King, our senior White House correspondent. As you watch the crawl of stocks going by, it is the airlines that are being hit the hardest. Leo Mullen is the Chief Executive Officer of Delta Airlines, and he joins us now from Atlanta. Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon.
How bad is it for the industry right now? Are people calling in droves, canceling flights? Anyone really getting on airplanes today?
Well, we have had considerable patronage. We were actually reasonably pleased over the weekend that we were carrying on both Saturday and Sunday about 140,000 passengers each day. Now that compares to an average Delta passenger load of 300,000 a day, so about half. But clearly, as those numbers would represent, the American public is beginning to fly, and from that standpoint, that's a good sign.
The industry is working very hard in Washington to try and get some direct aid. The House was dealing with $2.5 billion in direct aid, another, I think, $12 billion in loan guarantees. The message here is that the industry is in considerable jeopardy, that some airlines are going to collapse. Fair?
There is tremendous financial stress in the airline industry right now. Just last week, as you would know, we had almost 4 days with no revenue at all. And the general expectation after a crisis of this magnitude is that there will be a considerable period of time where revenues will run way less than they would have otherwise. And given the heavy fixed cost nature of this, with great capital investments for airplanes and terminals and other fixed equipment, if you have even minor changes in revenue, it can create enormous changes in cash flow. These are beyond minor. These are about as massive changes as it could get. And so it is going to affect all airlines throughout the United States in a very, very significant way. Now, from our standpoint, certainly the administration and the Congress, we feel, have been very responsive to this. I think, generally speaking, that there is a feeling in Washington that they wouldn't want the airline industry to be the first economic casualty of this war. And so, as a result, we have received enormous encouragement with respect to the program that is being developed, has been developed over the weekend, will be presented to the administration officials tomorrow, and I believe be very quickly the subject of hearings in the Congress.
Continental has announced layoffs. Continental's announced flight reductions. You've announced some trimming of flights. Do you expect to be laying off people?
Well, we would hope to certainly minimize that as we move forward, and that really depends on the outcome of these discussions that we have in Washington. Quite clearly, if business stays down for a significant period of time, then employee reductions would have to be definitely considered, as some airlines have already announced. On the other hand, we have new requirements that have been asked of us associated with the added security. We are fully on board as the airline industry with these security arrangements. We have participated extensively in helping develop them in conjunction with the government. And and Delta, we support these very, very strongly. But they do, in fact, require additional manpower. And so with the customer service requirements and the manpower implications of the increased security, we have to be very careful to balance the requirements to achieve that with the necessity that we will have to reduce employment if, in fact, support were not appropriately provided by the government. But as I say, I'm cautiously optimistic with respect to the discussions that are forthcoming with the government.
Back when the Gulf War buildup was going on, and after the Iraqi invasion of Kuwait, airline travel dropped off at that point. This situation is obviously unique, but just looking back at the Gulf War situation, how long did it take for customers to be confident again that it was safe to fly?
Well, it took there was a month of a very, very substantial drop-off, and we would anticipate at least that amount of time, a month to 6 weeks, certainly for a tremendous drop-off from traffic from what it would be. And then it gradually builds up, and really it didn't reach the levels that it had prevailed prior to the Gulf War until almost a year afterwards. In this particular instance, we're into uncharted waters here. I don't think any of us can really predict exactly when it would come back, but certainly from the standpoint of the industry, we are expecting a lengthy amount of time before we get back to the levels that would have prevailed otherwise.
Mr. Mullen, thanks for joining us. Leo Mullen, the Chief Executive Officer of Delta Airlines, joins us from Atlanta today. We'll check down on the streets of New York and around the country, CNN's continuing coverage of America's new war after a break.
Life is going to be difficult, but that's understandable. If security and safety are uppermost in our minds, and they are, then we're going to have to put up with inconveniences. Yes, we're going to have to get to the airport much, much earlier. We're going to have to be very suspicious and observant of anything that looks suspicious, whether it be a briefcase left by a curb, a package, things like that. We've got to become very, very aware of our surroundings because we have people in our midst who wish us ill.
Point. Shoot. Create. The HP Pavilion 7970 with the Intel Pentium 4 processor. How will you use it? Save up to $250 by mail on the HP Digital Photography Studio.
Introducing new Kellogg's Special K Red Berry cereal. Crunchy sweet flakes, now with slices of real strawberries, right in the box. Looking good, never tasted so great. Kellogg's Special K Red Berries. It's new.
Now's the best time to join America Online. Plug it in and you go. Because now you can try AOL and get our best offer ever. 1,000 hours of AOL free for 45 days. You don't need a credit card. Call 1-877-265-0200 to get everything AOL offers.
You've got mail.
I've got mail. I love when an instant message pops up.
Customer service is always there to help. To get online in minutes plus 1,000 free hours, call 1-877-265-0200. Operators are standing by.
If we could do it, anyone can.
America Online. So easy to use, no wonder it's #1.
Business.
E-business.
Sir Speedy Printing.
SirSpeedy.com.
Face-to-face.
Online interface.
Personal.
Productive.
Local.
Global.
Very human.
Very modern.
Easy.
Easy.
Sir Speedy.
Either way.
Senator Hillary Rodham Clinton and New York Mayor Rudy Giuliani together walking their way through some of the damaged area. The mayor and Mrs. Clinton, for that matter, have both been down there a number of times. There's New York Governor George Pataki as well. What they are seeing is a rescue effort that is still called a rescue effort, though it has been some days now since anyone has been pulled from the rubble of the World Trade Center alive. Gary Tuchman has been down there for most of the last week, and he joins us now. Gary, good afternoon.
Aaron, good afternoon to you. The New York Stock Exchange is only about 3 or 4 blocks away from here, but these areas are like 2 different worlds. Here, the public still isn't allowed. There are thousands of emergency workers and vehicles on the scene. The street is always clogged, and it's just emergency vehicles that are clogging it. And the scene is still very disturbing, very depressing, and frightening. Behind me, where the 110-story towers used to stand, that cauldron of smoke. And it's still smoky because fires continue to burn underneath the rubble. The search effort does continue. The bad news is nobody has been found alive since Wednesday morning, but officials are still holding out hope that it is a possibility. We talked with a remarkable man a short time ago, a firefighter by the name of Ken Haskell. He comes from a family of firefighters, 3 brothers. One of his brothers is missing. The other one has been found dead. Nevertheless, he continues to participate in the search.
Timmy's been found. He was found several days ago. I was underneath Tower 1, a void of Tower 1, the day before yesterday when word had spread that they had found him, and some of the members from my company came and got me, and they told me that Timmy had been found, and I left, and they had sent a van to pick me up.
I think it's hard to imagine the horror he and his family are going through right now. One other anecdote to talk about how the landscape of New York has changed literally and figuratively for the people who live here. When you take a subway in New York City and you get out of the subway station, there are often 4 or 5 different exits to get out of. And when you get out of the subway, even if you know it well, and you go out of a different exit, you may not know what direction you're facing. By habit, many New Yorkers, when they get out of the subway, look up for the World Trade Center to know which way is south. And even I, who has been covering this story since the very beginning and knows full well what happened, when I got out of the subway to come here today, that's the first thing I did. I looked up for the World Trade Center. Aaron?
Gary, thank you. People may think it's a little bit silly, for lack of a better word, to at this stage of the game still be talking about pulling people out alive. What officials hope is that down beneath street level, the World Trade Center complex went several levels down, 6 or 7 levels down. There may be people alive. They're surviving on water from restaurants that were there and food from the restaurants. It's obviously no sure thing. It may not even be a strong possibility, but that's the hope, and hope is the business they're in right now, that they'll get somebody alive. The market has moved back down a bit since we last checked it. The NASDAQ, too, not since October of '98 has it looked this way. Jeff Locke is in Overland Park, Kansas, suburban Kansas City, at a Charles Schwab Center, and he joins us now. Jeff?
That's right, Aaron. We're trying to get to ground zero on this market and see what people out here in the real world are. As you know, we have been traveling this country trying to take a pulse, and today the pulse is somewhere around the market. Trying to get a sense from that from Kirby Webb as we travel here to Overland Park, Kansas. Tell me, what are you seeing? Are you seeing any panic selling today? Because this market is all the way down.
Well, you're right. The market is down today, but we're not seeing any panic selling. For the clients who have come in today, we've actually seen them opening new accounts and adding to their existing positions.
Mm-hmm. And what do you expect?
Well, we expect the same thing. Our advice to our clients is to maintain a long-term perspective and keep a diversified portfolio.
I want to go talk to at least one of the people who chose today to open an account, because we had talked earlier about people who kind of almost patriotically intended to get into the market today. This man is one of them. I see the red, white, and blue on you. And why did you? Was this self-interest today? Do you think this is a good buying opportunity, or something else?
Well, living here in Kansas, there's not a whole lot I feel I can do as an individual as to show my support. So I thought this would be really a good opportunity to show my support, invest into the market, and I've opened up an SEP account for myself and my employees that work for me.
So this was something you were planning to do anyway, or you chose today specifically for this?
I've been thinking about it, and in light of all that's happened, I thought today would be a wonderful day to show my support.
And lastly, are you worried at all? You're looking at 600 points down here, or do you see that that's a good time to get in because you may get some bargains?
Well, I think both. I'm not really nervous. I'm not putting my last dollar into the stock market. I'm putting enough in there to be comfortable and to show my support.
Sir, I appreciate the time. Kirby, thank you. Also, we will, of course, continue to watch this here at the grassroots. As he said, no panic selling, at least in this office here in the middle of Kansas, but we'll keep listening. Aaron?
Well, it's not easy to hang on, and on a day like this, the market down 600 and almost 60 points, so it is admirable optimism. Jeff, thanks for your efforts. We have a special edition of Talkback Live with Bobby Batista coming up in just a moment, but first a break. CNN's continuing coverage of America's New War in a moment.
If you are seeking someone you believe to be missing from the attack on the World Trade Center or the Pentagon, log on to cnn.com/missing to submit a photograph and description. Please include your contact information.
The search for life and loved ones continues as President Bush promises victory against terrorism. For complete coverage, stay with CNN.
Medicare medication coverage. Are you having difficulty using inhalers or mixing your breathing medications? Do you use Proventil or Albuterol, Atrovent, Combivent, or other breathing medications? Did you know that if you qualify, Medicare covers breathing medications that are already premixed? To find out if you qualify, call us at Med4Home.
Call toll-free 1-800-403-3609.
Is your child protected for the future? For years, Gerber has been telling you about the Grow Up Plan. It's a $5,000 cash value life insurance policy that costs less than $1 per week. At age 21, the protection doubles to $10,000 with no increase in premiums. Call now for your free information package. The Gerber Life Grow Up Plan, a solid investment in your child's future. Call now.
Call this toll-free number for free information about Gerber's Grow Up Plan. Call now.
This is CNN.
Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to another expanded special edition of Talkback Live. America Speaks Out. Today, America is back at work, if not back to normal, but still in the back of everyone's minds. The question this week is retaliation. What happens next? Joining us first to talk about this today, Georgia Congressman Bob Barr. Also with us, Pat Schroeder, former Congresswoman from Colorado. She is currently President and CEO of the Association of American Publishers. Let me start with Congressman Barr for a few moments, if I could. I know that you circulated a declaration of war amongst your fellow Congresspeople up in Washington. I know you probably got a fair amount of signatures on that. You ended up with an authorization of force. Is that enough?
Certainly I support the President in whatever he believes is most appropriate as Commander-in-Chief right now. My personal view is that we ought to be declaring war on international terrorism and those who harbor international terrorists. The reason, Bobby, that I and others have proposed this, including people such as former Ambassador to the UN, James Patrick, former Education Secretary Bennett.
We're having trouble with your mic. Let's switch it out there. There we go.
Former...
You're good.
Is that okay? Former Speaker Newt Gingrich and a number of others, is because only a declaration of war gives our president the maximum flexibility to proceed as he sees fit. If we go the route, Bobby, of simply proposing and then passing a specific military authorization for a particular purpose or period of time, that isn't sufficient to take us through the long haul or to contemplate all possible circumstances. So that's why I think it's so important to go the declaration of war route.
Kind of eliminates a lot of paperwork, I think is what you're saying.
Well, there are questions of international sovereignty that you surmount if you have a declaration of war under certain international conventions that you would otherwise have to worry about if you have simply a U.S. law authorizing force.
What do you think is appropriate action at this point in time?
I think it's appropriate to begin action very, very quickly to take out those international terrorist individuals, organizations, and infrastructure that we already know about. And we know a great deal about these people and these organizations, Bobby, even though their elusive nature may mean that we don't know where a particular individual is at every moment in time. We know where most of them are. We know where their infrastructure is. We know where their funding comes from. We know who harbor them. So there is an awful lot that can be done quickly. And I am not among those who subscribes to having to telegraph when we're going to do this. I believe that we ought to move quickly without any warning.
We heard the president say pretty much that Osama bin Laden should be taken in dead or alive. So I assume that you agree with him that these terrorists should be eliminated rather than brought to justice or brought to trial?
I'll let the Lord worry about justice for them. I think we ought to take them out and take them out as quickly as we can locate them. I don't think we need to worry about Miranda warnings in a war situation.
Let me bring a former Congresswoman, Pat Schroeder, into this. A declaration of war, do you think that's needed?
Well, obviously the problem is that we don't know the war against whom, but clearly everybody wants action, and we want action when we really know who we can target it. Now, I think Congressman Barr makes a lot of good points. We do have an awful lot of cells we know about, and as we hear more and more other countries saying they support us, it would be wonderful if everybody moved against the cells in their area. Obviously, Osama bin Laden, he has been, if not culpable in this incident and certainly many others, so no matter what, if you can find a way to finally capture him, the whole world would exhale. But not for too long, because there are others around too. I think one of the important pieces is also looking at the banking system. Maybe not the Swiss, but I would really like to know if this money came through Switzerland. You know, the rest of the world is having to be transparent, and yet we are finding that there are certain countries who don't do that, and I think they really are allowing these people to operate. And we really need to say to the global community, no more of that stuff. Everybody has to be transparent at this level. We really can't allow those laws to stay where people can hide their money and then do all sorts of evil things with it.
Congressman, wasn't an effort made to freeze Osama bin Laden's assets? How far did you get with that?
We haven't been able to do that yet, Bobby, but my good friend and former colleague Pat Schroeder makes a very, very good point. We do need to start putting considerable pressure on some of these international financial centers. We know, by and large, where the funds that supply Osama bin Laden and other of these terrorists come from. It's not just personal funds that they have, even though he personally is a very, very wealthy man. They get information, finances from a lot of different sources, and a lot of it, as Ms. Schroeder said, is funneled through accounts in Europe, including in Switzerland. And these countries could be doing an awful lot more than they have been doing to help us in the effort to locate and freeze these assets.
This man's network, and we heard Colin Powell refer to him today as basically the chairman of a holding company, is so far-flung. And some of these extremist fanatics are being harbored in a number of Arab countries. How do we go about this and walk that fine line where we have to accomplish what we need to in order to rid the world of terrorism, but we don't want to create some geopolitical disaster in the process?
Well, it is a fine line, and to be honest with you, I have tremendous faith in President Bush and Secretary Rumsfeld and our other leaders. I think we're in very, very good and capable hands. We also have very strong and knowledgeable bipartisan leadership in the Congress that will work with us. But it is a fine line. I think you have to begin military operations very quickly. Our people, by and large, are very supportive of that, and I think you can't overlook the importance of maintaining national unity and moving forward on behalf of the American people. But we also have to remember that a huge quantity of our petroleum that we need both for our civilian and our military operations comes from the Middle East. We haven't done a good job in the last 20 years of developing our own resources. So we can't just go in and start carpet bombing countries. We have to be smart about it. But you start where the main problem is, and that is in countries like Afghanistan and others who very clearly and in a lot of instances for a long period of time have been harboring and supporting these people, countries like Syria, Iraq, and Libya, and possibly Iran also.
Congresswoman?
Bobby, if I could add, I certainly agree with what the congressman has said, but I think we have some other pieces we can do too. I am thankful every night that Colin Powell is our Secretary of State, because he had all of this high profile during the Gulf War. And it really is helpful to be able to say to some of those Gulf states who, let's face it, have been indirectly funding or directly funding some of these activities, mainly because they thought it would take some of the focus off of them. Wait a minute, you really ought to think about this. Guess who pulled your cookies out of the oven during the whole Gulf War? But for Colin Powell and the United States military and the whole U.S. government, Kuwait, Saudi Arabia may not be in the hands they're in now. I think we all know the answer to that. And so, as a consequence, I think it is really time to stop winking at their kind of playing both sides. It's like, well, you've got to understand we live in a difficult neighborhood, so wink, wink, we have your oil, you'll come if we're threatened, and meanwhile, we have to try and buy these folks out. I really think the American people are totally beyond any tolerance with that. So I think you try and shut that down. You try and go after banks that have been kind of hiding this in Switzerland and allowing this man to operate, because this took a huge amount of money. These people were never without money. So money was flowing. Money was flowing from all sorts of places. And I don't think the American public will tolerate that one more minute.
Let me go to a Gulf War vet on the phone. Kevin from Ohio. Go ahead, Kevin.
Yes, ma'am. As you say, I am a Gulf War veteran, and I do support going to war and getting the terrorists and making them pay for the damage and the harm and the pain that they've caused here in the United States. But I do hope that if we do go over there and we do cause a conflict, that we do it completely this time and not like Desert Storm. I mean, we liberated Kuwait over there, but the job was not finished. If we go after the terrorists that attacked our country, I want us to finish the job. The American people has taken America for granted, thinking it would never happen to us, it couldn't happen here. And now that it has happened, America is stunned because we thought we was this invincible country.
Kevin, I was going to say thank you very much. I wanted the Congress folks here to address that. I'm not sure that we'll ever know that we're done in this war. Do you think, Congressman?
Well, Bobby, the question came up at a news conference we had in Washington last week when we announced the introduction of our proposed declaration of war. One of the media people in Washington asked, well, how will you know when we've won? I think we'll have a pretty good indication of when we will have at least achieved significant success. We may never eradicate from the face of the earth every terrorist, just the same as despite years of our war against mind-altering drugs, we'll never have a completely drug-free society. But that does not mean that we as a nation don't try. And I think, again, as I said and as others have said, we know a great deal about these organizations, I think, and people already, as we've gotten into the first week since this tragedy, we're finding out disturbing things about how much we actually did know, but the right information didn't get to the right people and so forth.
I was going to say, if we knew so much, how did intelligence miss this one?
Well, that's one of the most fundamental questions that we're starting to look at, and I think it is a question that we have to get some answers to. I think we're seeing, unbelievably as it is, 60 years after Pearl Harbor, Bobby, we're still seeing some of the same problems that plagued us back then. Poor cooperation from between our different intelligence agencies, people tending to discount certain very important information or intelligence that came in, lack of proper coordination, things not getting to the right people, and then, of course, the problems in executing proper security measures at our airports. It's really not so much the traveling public that is the problem here. It's allowing people access to the most sensitive areas of airports without background checks, without properly following up on lost badges, lost flight manuals, lost uniforms, and paperwork and so forth. These are very, very serious problems. And even though it's important perhaps for us to look at what new powers, if any, we need to grant our government, I'm not interested in a headlong rush to pass more laws and take away more civil liberties. I think the problems are with enforcement of existing laws.
All right, hold on just a second here. Let me go to the audience. Reverend, do you have concerns?
It concerns me that we have not yet finished mourning the people who are considered or assumed to be dead, and there's many lives that are still coming up lost. There are families that are suffering and will continue to suffer. And it's my concern that we don't need to rush right now and send our young kids over there to shed more blood. We need to kind of get those who have been affected by this, let's give them a decent burial. And then I call on all the churches in America. Let's the churches step up to the plate and adopt a family. Let's the churches provide $1,000 to each one of these families, because we got breadwinners that are gone, that are lost, and children that don't have fathers, children that don't have mothers. We got breadwinners that have been lost, and I think now is the greatest time that the church can come forward, stand up, and give $1,000 to each family through the Red Cross. Let the Red Cross identify a family. The church would send that $1,000 to the Red Cross.
Good idea, Reverend. We're putting you in charge of that. Okay.
I would love to be in charge of that.
All right.
Through the Red Cross only, though.
Let me get an opinion here from Jason quickly.
My opinion is this: you have to remember, this has not bin Laden's first attack against the United States. This is a repeated several of attacks, and he is not going to stop. We have to take action against him and his organization now. I mean, how do you feel if you were going to go to a football game or to a baseball game? You're going to have to worry if bin Laden has his people there to blow it up. We have to take action. And as far as to declaring war against Afghanistan, we've given Afghanistan and the Taliban ample warning that anyone who aids and abets these fugitives, there will be no distinction. And the Taliban today refused to hand over bin Laden. So just like in the United States, even though if you don't commit a crime and you're not there, you're still an accessory. You know, Afghanistan and the Taliban, they're still an accessory to bin Laden and his terrorist acts against us.
And Larry over here quickly.
Yeah, I agree with you, absolutely. But, you know, I believe that it's imperative that we do strike back. But first of all, I also think that it's important that we gather intelligence on the people that were involved, the factions, the organizations that were behind this. I think it's imperative that we know who these people are. Undoubtedly, innocent people are going to be killed. I mean, that's just one of the consequences of war. But the bottom line is, let's just not go over there half-cocked. Let's go over there with a purpose, and let's execute that purpose when we go over there.
Congressman, looking to the future, and before you get out of here, I wanted to ask you about the counter-terrorist measures that Congress has been asked to pass. What will those entail? And I know there's a couple in particular that you would like to see changed.
One area, Bobby, that I have actually been working on for over a year now is to untie the hands of both our president and our intelligence agencies in a couple of areas. For example, to me, it doesn't seem to make any sense if we give a president authority to wage war and to bomb areas around the world, whether it's Kosovo, Somalia, or very possibly now Afghanistan, to try and take out a foreign terrorist leader, and yet we don't give him the authority to go in with a Delta Force team or a special operations team and take out that one individual. That doesn't make any sense, yet for a generation we've had a restriction on the books that won't allow us to assassinate a foreign terrorist leader. We ought to repeal that so the president has the full range of options available to him. Also, we don't need to tie the hands of our intelligence agencies so that they can only deal with those foreign agencies that have the same view of human rights as we do. That severely limits the ability of our intelligence agencies to gather intelligence information that could save us from this sort of thing.
Can't deal with just Boy Scouts, that's for sure.
There are very few in the world outside of America.
All right, Congressman Babar, I know you've got to go, but thank you very much for coming in.
Thank you, Bobby, and it's great
joining
being
us
with my
today.
former colleague and friend, Pat Schroeder.
And she will be staying with us as we go to a break here in just a few moments. Let me do some emails. Helen in North Carolina says, we must not give the terrorists what they want. To retaliate with force would give them an excuse to do it to us again. Just impose severe sanctions and embargoes on Afghanistan and any other country that supports the terrorists. Nick emails us, the morale of the American people will never rise until they see evidence that someone is paying dearly for this outrage. Stay with us. Gary Bauer will also be joining us. We'll be back right after this.
Among the highest number of graduates in computer science and engineering in the country. Over 4,700 graduates in computer and information sciences. Over 5,000 graduates in engineering, including chemical and bioengineering. And they all graduated from the same place. Just who produces this kind of talent for the workforce each and every year?
Pennsylvania.
Now's the best time to join America Online.
If I knew it was this easy, I would have started a long time ago.
Because now you can try AOL and get our best offer ever. 1,000 hours of AOL free for 45 days. Plug it in and you go. You don't need a credit card to join AOL. Call 1-877-265-0100 and be online in minutes.
America Online is the easy one.
Our free 24-hour customer service representatives are always available by phone.
Customer service is always there to help.
1,000 hours for 45 days free. Call 1-877-265-0100 to get everything AOL offers.
You've got mail.
I've got mail. I love when an instant message pops up.
AOL has parental controls,
and that's a good thing.
Chat, instant messages, email.
AOL has it all. Now you can join AOL right over the phone. You don't even need a credit card.
Fire up the computer and off you go.
Get online in minutes. Our operators are standing by.
If we could do it, anyone can.
America Online, so easy to use, no wonder it's #1. Call 1-877-265-0100 for AOL's best offer ever.
Want to earn money market rates on your checking account?
Open a super interest checking account online with MyBank USA. You'll earn the highest interest rate with a minimum balance of only $2,500, and you can pay your bills online.
You can also apply for super interest checking online. It's a great way to earn money market interest on your checking account.
To learn more, go to mydiscountbroker.com and click on MyBank USA.
Introducing new Kellogg's Special K Red Berry cereal. Crunchy sweet flakes, now with slices of real strawberries, right in the box. Looking good, never tasted so great. Kellogg's Special K Red Berries. It's new.
In Gateway Country, we know some folks hold off on buying new technology until the price comes down. Heck, some are still waiting on color TV. Oh, that's better. Well, now the Gateway Performance 1500 PC featuring the Intel Pentium 4 processor comes loaded for just $9.99. That's highly advanced performance at a price to suit anybody. And I mean anybody. Get a free upgrade to Windows XP when you buy this Gateway PC.
After another day of mourning, those left standing continue their search for life and loved ones. And the stage is set for a borderless war, as President Bush promises victory against terrorism. For complete coverage, stay with CNN.
Welcome back. Joining us now is CNN's Nick Robertson, who is the only Western correspondent in Afghanistan. He joins us from Kandahar by way of video phone. And Nick, we know that Pakistani officials met with leaders of the Taliban today in order to demand that they turn over Osama bin Laden. Have you heard anything about how that meeting went?
Well, the Taliban officials have characterized the meetings as that they are considering what's been told to them. They also say, however, that they've heard it all before. The focus really shifts from where we are, which is the spiritual capital of for the Taliban, Kandahar in the south of Afghanistan, to Kabul in the north tomorrow, where 600 of the country's top religious leaders will gather to debate just that issue of Osama bin Laden and the issue of what Afghanistan would do if it were to be attacked in the coming days.
I asked you on Saturday if it was considered certain that Osama bin Laden was in Afghanistan. I think that you answered that we were pretty much to assume that. Do you think that's still the case, or is it likely that he is not there?
It's highly likely that he is here. We certainly haven't heard anything to the contrary. It does have to be said that the borders with Pakistan are incredibly porous. And although we've heard today that Pakistan is sealing its borders more effectively with Afghanistan to keep out a flood of refugees that might seek shelter there, there are deserts in these borders where it's very, very difficult for Pakistani authorities to patrol. I was there with their anti-narcotics force a couple of years ago, going over these desert areas in helicopters, and you could see mile upon mile upon mile where cars were just able to drive freely across the border. So it would be possible for him to sneak across the border, but it would probably put him in more danger if he were to do that, because he would be putting himself closer to possible apprehension.
Questions from the audience for you. Let me take one from Ray.
Thank you. I was wondering, to what extent is Pakistan willing to support the U.S. once we do attack Afghanistan? Will they give us the permission to use the airspace, or will we be allowed to go on land with forces across their country?
Well, so far the Pakistan leadership has indicated that it would want to debate each issue exactly what they were going to do, but so far they've been very clear that they will give whatever support is required. And certainly the Pakistani officials, in contrast with the way they've dealt with the Taliban in the past, those diplomats coming here today have delivered a very, very hard, tough, straight-in-the-face message, if you will, to the Taliban. This is quite uncharacteristic of Pakistani-Taliban relationships in the past. So it would appear very clear at this time that Pakistan is very much behind America on this issue, although the very specifics of land, exactly whether they can use ports, etc., we understand that those will have to be worked out case by case. Certainly, though, Pakistan has a lot to offer the United States in those particular assets.
Eric, question?
Yes. Is there visible evidence that Afghanistan is preparing to go to war with the United States?
Certainly, their leader, Mullah Omar, made a public address a couple of days ago, and the way he did that was on the radio system here, the national radio system. The Taliban, of course, banned all televisions when they came to power 5 years ago. And in that address, he really gave people a pep talk, pumped them up, if you will, in preparation for a possible war. He told people to put their faith in God, in Allah, and if they did that, then they should be safe, that they should not be afraid of America. So there's been a sort of a preparation of the population, if you will. In terms of a military preparation, certainly we just traveled 300 miles yesterday driving down from the capital, Kabul, down here to Kandahar in the south. And I must say, we didn't see any military preparation on the way down. There were perhaps only 2 checkpoints between here and Kabul, 300 miles away. So we don't get the feeling on the ground right here where we are that there is an intense military build-up going. But it also has to be said, the Taliban have a lot of assets deployed in the north fighting their ongoing civil war, and they don't have a huge amount of military assets anyway. What they really have is a lot of young, dedicated fighters willing to throw down their life to put Taliban in power over the whole country.
All right, Nick Robertson, thank you very much for joining us. Appreciate all the information you bring us once again. We will continue here. Are we taking a break or continuing on? We're taking a quick break here, and then we'll be back with Pat Schroeder and Gary Bauer. Stay with us.
I remember 20 years ago how they turned the racing world upside down. First by introducing a race car with quattro all-wheel drive, and second by having a woman driving.
Bringing you the latest reports as events unfold in America's new war. Stay with CNN.
How would you like to lose that big belly and save big money? Then you need the Abdur system, designed to aerobically burn fat as it flattens your abs in just minutes a day, and it's yours for a fraction of the cost. Look, ab machines strengthen muscles but won't reduce your waist, and some exercises can make your muscles bigger. Only the Abdur's rotating torso trimmer targets your upper abs, lower abs, and obliques, all in one fat-burning circular motion. You'll flatten your stomach in weeks, not months. We guarantee it.
Before I started using the Abdur system, I was really unhappy the way I looked. Ever since I started using the Abdur system, I started seeing immediate results, and I feel so much happier and more confident in everything I do.
These machines cost up to $8,000. The Abdur does the work of all these machines. Millions have sold for 5 payments of only $29.95. But if you call now, we'll lower the price to 5 payments of only $19.95. That's a $50 savings. Plus, you get the Abdobix nutritional guide and motivational video free. We guarantee you'll lose at least 2 inches in just 10 days or your money back. So call now.
This remote control is my magic wand to summon the police, fire department, paramedics, or my doctor. It contacts Life Alert, my 24-hour personal security service. I've told their computers where I live, about my husband's heart condition, his medication, and who to call in case of emergency.
Oh.
So what is it?
I got a pain in my chest. We're summoning the paramedics and your doctor, Mr. Perkins. Help is on the way.
With Life Alert, you're never alone.
Thank God for Life Alert. I owe my life to it. I know. My life was on the line and they saved it.
Call the number on your screen to receive your free information about Life Alert's round-the-clock, 24-hour protection. The phone call and information are free. Don't delay. Please call this toll-free number now.
This